All right, welcome back. We're going to be going over the rule changes. So, a couple of different things that I wanted to bring up are different areas that we're going to talk about, or topics in general. Scoring formats, possible changes to there. I asked Colin and Brad to get some ideas from everybody.
Fuck you guys.
Nope.
I don't care about your opinion.
Well, with that said, y'all go ahead and post any other additional ideas in the chat. And then we're going to go over hobby suggestion as far as the everybody versus everybody matchups. We're going to talk about potentially changing divisions each year, and then also we're going to talk about the number of keepers that we're going to actually keep. And yeah, that is our topics for this video. So I actually brought this up, wanted to discuss how y'all felt about it. Colin, I saw your viewpoint on it. I'm wanting to get rid of the kicker position mainly because you can't fucking predict whether or not they're going to score you any points. I didn't think that the kicker position isn't.
That's the whole point of fantasy football, though, too. I feel like it's essential to have a kicker. Like, it is and it's not. Like, I'm cool if we don't have it, but at the same time, if you think about it, we build all of our teams based on a team, like an actual NFL team skills position, and a kicker is somewhat of a skills position, but I don't know.
Sometimes kickers score the most points out of anybody in the game.
Justin Tucker, dude, MVP.
Yeah, but how can you even predict that? How can you predict that? Oh yeah, this guy's gonna have a great game.
How can you predict that your team's not gonna put up any fucking points? All your predictions are you trying to get the most amount of points each week. So if that was the case, then people wouldn't be like, "Oh shit, I should have started that guy." That's the whole point of predictions.
This past week, my highest scoring player was Nick Novak with 19 points. So
yeah,
oh, dude,
that's crazy.
That guy.
He was on my bench too, sadly, but he was my highest scoring person.
I mean, it happens. I think, I don't know. I've never played in the league without it. I'm down to try. But then what about whenever in the playoffs, whenever I want to do a kicker challenge? Can't do it.
Good point. Good point. Then it could just switch over to a defense challenge.
Ooh, defense special teams? Okay. Or quarterback challenge would be cool.
And what I would go into that, or to go along with that change, is that if, say, like you choose a defense and special teams, that would include whatever the kicker's points are. So like the defense would get the points for those field goals.
So you're doing the exact same. I think that's pointless because you're just. I don't know. I say you either do one or the other.
Fair enough.
You keep the kicker, or you completely get rid of him.
And also, my personal problem is I actually made a trade earlier this year for a kicker to get and also a pick. So,
why the fuck would you trade for a kicker, Colin?
It was Gostkowski.
It was Gostkowski, and I wanted.
So?
What do you mean so? I got a 3 years later from now, I'll have a first round pick also.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, I hope it's like the 10th overall. Who's it from? Ty?
Ty.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. You'll probably get a first round pick, dude. Good. You know what? Good trade. First overall pick. Sorry, first overall. Good trade.
For T.J. Yeldon. Sorry, T.Y. Yeldon. Or is it T? I can't even remember.
It's T.J. Hilton.
Yeah, T.J.
T.Y. Hilton. T.J. Hilton.
Like, he'll get better in later years, but right now he's just not at a great point.
Yeah.
He plays for what?
Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only way that he'll get good is if he gets traded. So.
Yeah. All right, so that was the no kickers rule. Did anybody else have any other potential changes to scoring format?
No, I think everything. I like how everything's set up. I like that it's a PPR. I think it'd be
switch
pointless.
up to full point or half point is good.
I think half point's good.
Yeah, half point's really good.
I think that with the Dynasty League, it's super hard to change the scoring format because that's how a lot of people originally drafted their teams, was based off of the strategies of scoring the most points based on how the rules first work. So I think it's super. I don't know how good of an idea it'd be to change the point format, the point scoring format, because of that.
Okay. Do you agree with
that?
Yeah, I agree with that too.
We're a democracy, so all it takes is votes and everything changes. So.
But no, I completely agree with what you're saying. The only thing that I was trying to push forward is the no kickers.
Whatever. I don't care either way.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to go into Javi's suggestion of basically a battle royale each week. So I talked to Brad and Colin prior to this, and so for this assessment, it's going to be Brad is going to argue for, and then we have Colin to argue against it. So,
all right,
Brad, I'll let you start it off.
Start it off, Brad.
So, Javi, as you could see in our group message, I don't think it's a good idea. So this was a little hard for me to look at the other side, but for your sake, I didn't research. So fuck you. No, but I think it's a good way to make it fair, because yes, you're going to reward the people who pick the best teams, but that's really the only thing I can think of that why anybody would vote for it. Because like I said before, I'm in one of my leagues. One of my other leagues, I had the third most points for, but I had the most points against, and I didn't even make playoffs. So I know exactly how you feel, dude. It sucks. But, that's fantasy football, man. It just happens. So I think that if we were to repick our teams each week and have some kind of salary cap just like DraftKings, cool. Yeah, that's a good idea, but it's really hard for me to argue for doing that. Like, it takes away all of the competition of it, because and Colin, I'm sorry if I might take a couple points away, but
yeah, you're basically reading off my list I have. So.
Oh, my bad, dude.
It's all good.
My last thing that I'll say about this is, if we want to give out fucking participation awards, then cool. But whenever fantasy football is based off, or the fantasy football that I thought that we signed up for is based off of one team playing another team each week, and that's the whole point of it. It's somewhat based off of an NFL season. You pick your team at the beginning of the season, and then with this dynasty, it's just like we pick our team for the rest of the life of this league, and you use those players to beat other people each week. That's what we all signed up for. We didn't sign up for DraftKings. If I wanted to play DraftKings, then I'd pay money into it. So, sorry, go ahead, Colin.
I kind of did put money into this, but that's a
Colin,
thing. But
each week, though.
I know. Exactly.
So, Brad, that was an excellent argument for Javi's suggestion.
You're welcome.
Really good.
Dickhead.
All right, now for the argument against. By 1 point, Brad is actually really against this, so his opinion is biased very well.
I tried, dude. I tried. I can't.
Also, if we had this set up, it would get rid of fun matchups between each other, and also limit trash talking to like, oh, I just beat you by 0.5 points. Suck my dick. Whatever.
Yeah.
That won't ever happen. And
I agree 100%.
It'd be like, oh, I almost made top 5 by only 10 points. Oh, whatever. And as Brad was saying, this isn't DraftKings where each team has a salary cap. We had to make our own decisions based off of our team, and we can pick up waivers whenever we want. So we don't have to worry about that. So that's a little unbalanced there. And as Brad was saying earlier, fantasy football should resemble real football with actual team matchups. And my last and favorite point, Ty would never win.
Damn.
Either way.
So you gotta think about him. He might have that lucky week. You never know. Or his opponent might have an unlucky week.
There you go.
And, the only thing that I would like to add to that, because I agree with both of y'all's input on really the only point that you had, Brad, for the 4, and then also I'm overwhelmingly in favor of in opposition of this. But just the only thing that I'd like to add on, just because one year you have a really unlucky year and you score the most points, but then end up losing all these crazy matchups. Everyone steps up to face you. This is a dynasty. Next year, it's not going to be the same way. Javi still is going to have all of those same players, and those other guys may not be as lucky facing against him, and he might demolish the entire league and go undefeated. So
it could happen.
I'm just saying, just be patient, and you never know what's going to happen. Hell, even Javi might have the worst team in the league because all of his players end up having a shitty year. You know, you never know. You never know.
Ty might actually get lucky and no.
Oh man. No. All right, cool. Well, now we're going to move on to possibly changing the divisions every year. So then, never mind. It's going to be going for y'all's points for and against. So now I'm going to switch it. So now Colin is going to be arguing for, and then Brad is going to be arguing for against. So Colin.
All right. Again, I'm going for the change of divisions each year. One point, it creates variety in the league where we don't have everybody in the same position, which also leads to no one division is always the powerhouse division. Like right now, is it West, which is what I'm in? Yeah. West is the powerhouse division right now. So if we were having changes, some of the players in the West would probably go to the East. Well, that would happen. So to create a little bit more balance. And my final point is new rivalries between league members would happen. So right now the rivalry was probably like me and Weichel trying to fight for the first seed spot. And it could be, hey, I was off by one reception for 10 yards. Okay, just something like that would happen. But like new rivalries would happen. Like you know, different outcomes every year for their first seed spots and whatnot.
All right, Brad.
You know, Colin, you're right. I mean, y'all's division had a better record than ours in the East, but I kind of like that. Everybody in the East sucks, and I'm going to beat them next year, and I'll win. You know, me and Matt, we had such a fierce rivalry.
We did.
Fuck that. My biggest... I think I'm so against changing the divisions, I think we should just fucking get rid of them. I mean, I don't see what... I mean, they don't affect anything. It doesn't come down... What do they affect?
Well, right now, the way it is, if you win the division, you get... depending on your record, you get the first or the second seed.
Depending on what?
Depending on your record.
Your record.
So, but what I'm saying is, like, Weichel had a better record than me, so then therefore he had the first overall seed. So that put me in the second seed since I had the best record in our division.
So you're saying that if Ty would have won our division at 6-7, he would have won in the playoffs second overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colin finished with a better record than I did, and he's the third seed, and I had the first week bye.
No, I just thought Colin sucked, so... I don't know. I don't know. I think they should stay the same, because if you change them up, then you're going to get rid of that... They don't change up the divisions very often in the NFL, do they? Hardly ever, unless a new team gets added in. So, no, that's just stupid. Yeah, you could change things up, but at the same time, this whole thing's supposed to be a competition. So I think instead of trying to change up the competition, you just stick to where you're at, try to beat the people that you've been trying to beat this whole time. At the same time, if you have a good team, it doesn't fucking matter who's in your division because they'll suck. So I think we should keep it, especially since we just finished our first season of the league. I think it'd be kind of premature to change it now. Maybe change it every 2 years or that might be a way to do it. Every 2 years we'll take take the positions based on the person who won first overall gets in one division, the person who won second overall goes into another one, and then we just kind of scale it that way. But I think it's kind of premature to do it after the first season. Maybe like every odd year we change the divisions, or we vote to change the divisions. I don't know.
Yeah, I like both of y'all's arguments. I am in favor, or I'm opposed to this. Main reason why is that kind of like how Brad was saying. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. Well, first of all, the first three picks are guys in the East teams, right? So our teams are just only going to get better, and who's to say after well, yeah, in theory. Say that those guys actually hit home runs on those players and make dramatic improvements to their team. Maybe the East ends up being the powerhouse instead of the West. I mean, it's going to change each year. It doesn't really matter. And again, I mean, it gives us something to talk about at the end of the year, talking shit about saying, oh yeah, the West had a better record and scored much more points than the East did, so fuck you guys, like y'all had a shit division. And only 2 people made the playoffs from our division, almost only one. So
whatever.
I mean, all I'm saying is that like you said, it's premature to change it right now. It will kind of even out as time goes on, in my opinion. All right. Well, with that said, we're going to move on to what we think is a good number of keepers to have at the very end of the season. So I think either we talk about, I guess like this is going to have a whole big discussion, mainly because if we are going to come up with a good number, we should have like come relatively in an agreement when we should have a deadline of when you should decide who those players are that you're going to drop.
Well, it looks like Zach already dropped a shit ton of his players.
Yeah,
so.
he did.
Did he really?
Yeah, he dropped all the people he doesn't want anymore. He's like, oh, we only have this many people? Okay, I'll calculate them. Okay, I'll drop 10 people.
Are any of them worthwhile? I mean, are they worth a pickup?
It is Zach's team, so no.
Yeah, good point.
I think, I went into, again, we had said at the beginning that we were going to go 25. We draft 35, keep 25. I'm not opposed to anything. I don't care. I think 25 is a good number because it's like what, 2/3 of your team essentially. But at the same time, I think if we wanted to make it more competitive too, you only keep maybe 10, 15. I mean, it all depends on how long we want the draft to be, and if we wanted to keep it a true dynasty. Because if we're keeping it a true dynasty, we need to keep a majority of our team and only get rid of just get rid of a few. So if we want to make it more into like a normal fantasy football league, then yeah, we get rid of, or we lower the number of keepers. But I think, again, to keep the true dynasty, we got to keep it at 25 or maybe even 20.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I couldn't go less than 20. I mean, no less than that. I agree with your original assessment saying 25, maybe even 26. Just drop 9, keep it a really quick draft. But
it's what, 6 rounds, 7 rounds in the normal NFL draft?
7.
7?
You can do that.
I mean, I think we want to stay kind of like the league. I think that's a good way to do it.
I agree. What do you think, Colin?
Well, you also got to think the NFL draft are also drafting defensive players that don't matter to us. So, granted, there's like 32 teams that would compared to our.
I think it evens out.
Yeah,
okay,
I think you're right. It does even out.
What, 7 times 32 would be like 200 and
245.
So divide that by 10. I mean, that's like everybody
24.
picking 22. Yeah, I think it about evens out, because if you take out all the defensive players, I think it evens out to about 10. And the offensive linemen, I think about 10. I'm cool with 25. Did we get any feedback on the group chat about it?
Main thing, I think we were talking about 26 being the number, dropping 9 players. And then...
What's the difference between 9 or 10?
nothing. I mean, that was just what the number that just came up. It wasn't anything too crazy.
I say we do 10, so we have 10 teams and 100 people get picked up.
There you go. Ty was the one that was bringing up that we should drop more players, so then you kind of you're forced to make a decision.
Yeah, of course he's going to say to drop more players. He drafted fucking some old-ass motherfuckers on his team that suck.
No, that was Travis.
No, Ty did too. Ty has a couple.
Yeah.
But, yeah, of course he's going to say to drop more. He's going to get fucking last place. I mean, that's a natural reaction. Just like Javier's reaction to wanting to do the top 5. It's a natural reaction. Your team sucked this year. You drafted horribly. But who's to say that your draft that you did this year doesn't come to fruition next year? So I think
just to add it in, just for the sake of it, he did say he didn't really care either way. It was just an idea. So don't want to make it seem like he was completely sold on it, like how Javi was.
Well, I don't know if Javi was completely sold on it either. I think his was more of like an idea too.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Javi, I'm just trying to take your side on something because I fucking hate you on everything else.
Yeah. But yeah, and feel free to put, if you have a different comment or idea about how the number, if you agree, put your thoughts on the chat and then we'll discuss further. Other than that, that's all we have. The next video is going to be going over the pickups and trades throughout this past season.